used to hear the phrase content is king, content is king. And I didn't believe that, and I still don't believe it. Great content, meaningful, impactful content is king.
Bang. This for anybody that's trying to follow a dream. No holding back, you'll get it by any means. Idols on the wall, you cut out from magazines. Full of self-esteem, nobody can intervene. Ready for the shine, you never need in the shade. This is for the boss that never gave you a raise. This is for every time you ever tried to create and no one understood, they never gave you the space. Walking up to you, they trying to give you the crown. Look into your eyes and tell you you one of us. Every time you turn around and face the crowd, be ready cause your time is now.
That's my cousin. Like you don't know what's up. Brad.
Welcome to The Golden Rules. I'm your host, Tim Gray, and today, Brad Belanger stops by the studio.
Hey, Tim, how you doing?
Wonderful. Thank you for coming in, sir.
Oh,
We're just starting this. I really appreciate you taking the time to come in and hang. Now, for those of you that don't know Brad, the first time I met him, I was incredibly inspired. There's only a few people in town at Nashville that I feel like could possibly outwork me, and this is one of them. He's a true entrepreneur in every sense of the word. Now, correct me on any of this.
Yeah.
At age 15, he started his own record label. He was in a band, front man in the band.
Yeah.
He hacked the system, taught himself promotion, taught himself how to book shows, taught himself screen printing. Mm-hmm. From that, it grew into becoming a booking agent at APA. Then he found that he had a passion and a love for creativity and wanted to go develop that side of it. Mastered the skill of editing, photography, graphic design.
I don't know about mastering, but...
Mastered it well enough to work with artists like global superstars Taylor Swift and Keith Urban. From that, I believe, is how he ended up meeting the current artists that he works with, and he founded his current management company, Homestead Entertainment, where he works with a few artists. One you might have heard the name of, Sam Hunt, platinum-selling, record-breaking artist, who's one hit after another, record-breaking after another, and you guys have pushed his global brand to a place that very few artists reach and that everybody chases. So the man, the myth, the legend, in my mind, true hustler, true people person, true system hacker, Brad Belanger.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you for coming, man.
Thank you. I like the system hacker more than anything.
Yeah.
That's what I spend most of my time thinking about during the day.
You figured it out, man.
Uh-huh.
There's so many people that I talk to, whether they're in the industry or wanting to be or artists, and they're so concerned with the how do I get to the place that they don't take the time to master a craft to move on to the next place. I'll just learn it, or I'll learn it enough where no one can bullshit me on it.
Sure.
And then I can move on to the next thing. And that's one of the things I've picked up just from the few times we've spoken, that you go all in, you get it down, and you develop that and you add it to your tool belt.
Well, I think it all comes from the same place. For me, I don't think there's any moving. What we do with Sam, whether we're announcing a festival like Sam and I are doing here in April, or we're announcing a tour or a record or anything that he's got going on, to me it's the exact same thing I was doing in my garage or my bedroom in Virginia in 1990 when we were saying, hey, let's have a show with these three bands, and this band, we thought we'd get a band from each high school so we could pull as many people as we wanted to. And you know, we'd go into a friend of mine's garage and build a little stage and some lights and things like that from Home Depot, and put flyers out and record little tapes and run them and go to Kinko's and make zines. I mean, it's all the same stuff I've been doing now for, 27 years, 28 years, since 1990, basically. So to me, I'm just trying to stay inside of that every single day. And no matter how big it is, to me, in my heart and excitement-wise, putting on a Sam Hunt, Luke Bryan baseball stadium tour is just as exciting and comes from the same place as, three punk rock bands in a garage in 1990.
Was that your band? You were in a punk rock band?
Well, no, I mean, I think at the time it probably would have been called alternative college rock, all kind of stuff. Before Nirvana, you could have a band that sounded like the Smiths play with a band that sounded like the Sex Pistols playing with a band that sounded like something else. It was just all the freaks getting together and making art because we wanted to, and we didn't have any other place to kind of do it.
Mm-hmm. Well, so you said
just like Sam Hunt's doing now.
90s. So you're in the garage. You're grown up. You decide Nashville. How did that? What was that process?
School.
When did you move here?
I'd gotten out of high school and gone to college for 1 year down in Louisiana, where my family's from. And I told my dad and my mom I was just going to college to find a band. That's all I was interested in. And I found a band, then I dropped out quickly. And we started playing around for a few years. And then when I was about 20, 21, I kind of realized that, waiting tables and playing in a punk band was not exactly what I wanted to do with my life. So some friends of mine found this schools up here in Nashville, Belmont and MTSU, and they said, hey, we can go to college, which means our parents help us out with some rent and health insurance and a gas card and things like that. And we can learn about how to manage and how to do concert promotion and copyrights and have access to studios.
Sure.
So to us, this would have been 95, 96. We thought, let's go to Nashville. And at the time, there was very little going on here outside of the current country music scene in the mid-90s. But we found Lucy's Record Shop and all the kind of punk rock stuff that was happening at that time over on Charlotte, and just started going from there.
And it was MTSU, right?
Yeah, some of my friends went to Belmont. I went to MTSU. It was much cheaper and much more liberal and kind of weird.
Me too. Go Big Blue.
In the mid-90s. So I kind of was attracted to Murfreesboro and that scene that they had.
So when you came here, obviously it was find a band, then you're in school, and you start learning about all this other side of the business. Is that when did you know management's the end goal? Or
no,
you
not
were just
at
like,
all.
I want to be in it?
Not at all. I think that by the time I was maybe 2 or 3 years into college there at MTSU, I'd learned that even though I love music and I loved playing it, that I wasn't dedicated enough like some of the guys that I was going to school with. Some of those guys showed up to school to be producers and engineers or guitar players, and they just inherently wanted to play all day. I didn't want to play all day. I wanted to do whatever I needed to do to take a movement or a band or a group of bands and connect them with an audience. I found that was what my passion had been. Even when I was 14 or 15, I loved the band and playing in it, but I loved more putting on the show. And I learned that, I could talk. I started talking at that time at college.
Sure.
I think I was a little quiet before then. And so I had some great professors, Matt O'Brien and a couple other ones, that kind of directed me into, hey,
Matt.
you should move into a part of the business that people talk a little bit more, which is being an agent, which is being a management, or maybe the label. And so I started just started going in that avenue a little bit more. I didn't know which direction I wanted to go, and I just wanted to be around music, and especially live music.
We talk about that a lot with some of the other guests and just different folks around town. For people that are starting the hunt, or they're exactly where you were then, and or they'll be incredibly fixated on this end destination, but they get so focused on it that they'll miss this shiny peripheral that could change the direction of where they want to go. And I've noticed over your career, you've been able to see those changes and allow the dream to change and then go chase that.
Well, yeah, and it's about, I think I try and stick to the, just stick to my heart, as cliche as that sounds, and doing what attracts me, what excites me, what inspires me. I think what scares me. That's always been a pretty good barometer of what's happening and where I need to go in what direction. I don't like getting good at something enough where then I can just repeat it for money. That doesn't really attract me that much. I'm not interested in that. I think a lot of times I'm subconsciously moving in directions of, I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if I can throw a festival and figure out how to do it, so let's do it first. Because I think a lot of people, and it's natural, is that you would sit and think, well, let me get everything in order first. Let me learn everything I can about how to throw a festival and then go and do it. And you'll never do it. You'll never learn everything.
If you wait on every light to turn green, you'll never leave the house.
Sure, and if you just jump and go, well, I can figure it out as it happens. You can. It's doable. And for me, it's a lot more exciting because every day you kind of go, what are you doing today? I'm not sure. Trying not to drown.
Welcome to my Try Not to Drown. We're sitting in it right now.
Yeah.
I figured I want to do it. Let's go fucking do it. And we'll figure out the rest as we go.
Sure. And I think a lot of people, if you keep everything kind of centered around understanding the people around you, that you're in I don't think much about people outside of the people I talk to every day. Like, that's enough for me. to take in, to try and be connected with, to try and be honest and open with, you know, and how I want to live my life when I work with them. And for me, it's looking at them and saying, what can I give to these people? And what can they give to me in a really good relationship? Never want to take from anybody. And I never want to win over anybody, because then it's not a zero-sum game like that to me on a daily basis.
Sure.
And for me, I find that I jump into a lot of things. I surround myself with people that have done it before, that are very good at it. I trust them. I listen to them. And I know that what they a lot of times ask for me or want from me is just me to be a leader and me to be passionate about it and get them connected and passionate about it. I think 99% of it is getting everyone on the team to believe we can do this.
Sure.
We're going to do this. And then sending them out there to figure out how to do it. But I think from the biggest executives and CEOs that I work with, down to the 22 or 23-year-old kids that just got out of college that I work with, it's funny that it's the same thing that that motivates both of them a lot of times.
When did you get that aha moment? I can do this. Was it always inherently in you? You just had that confidence that I'm going to go do that and I'm going to go do it well? Or
I think it came out of growing up punk rock a little bit, that I just didn't care and still don't care very much about anybody outside of the people that I'm connected with every day building what we're building. Mm-hmm. I'm definitely not doing it for anybody. Or for money. You can't think about that. I just kind of, I think my whole life, probably my parents and my family instilled in us, just get out there and do the best you can. And I haven't succeeded at everything we've tried. We've failed, and that's fine.
Sure.
But for me, it's always kind of been there that, sure, you can do that. Just go out there and do it. And if you don't look up, if you just keep your head in it and
Sure.
don't look up and think, oh gosh, am I looking stupid? Am I embarrassed? Is this not going to work? Or I'm going to listen to what these people say or what these people say. If you don't look up and you just keep your head in the work every single day, you learn that putting on one show in a basement or a garage up to selling 15 million singles or whatever it is with Sam, it's the exact same process. It's a million little pieces. And even though at times you could look at something like Sam or some other successes we've had and think, gosh, that looks like it just really happened quickly and overnight. It didn't. Even as quickly as it happened, it was just a million little pieces. And so I'm much more obsessed with that little stuff. Sure. And I think if you put the time and the effort in on that little stuff, I mean, for me, it just seems to work.
Sure.
Every time. Most times.
Do the little things right, and the end thing takes care of itself.
Sure.
The industry's hard, It's much easier when you're incredibly passionate about it, which almost everyone that's in my circle, that especially that I've invited to the show, that's not necessarily an issue for them, is dedication or passion.
Yeah.
But even within that, the industry itself has a way of making you second guess yourself. Was there ever a time from garage until now that you went, I don't know, maybe I'm going to go sell vacuums?
Oh gosh, this morning, a lot of, a lot of days. I kind of, it seems to happen on weekends. Like, I love my weekends, but I hate them as well. I got that little Gary V thing in me that I love Monday morning. I can't get to work early enough. But it seems like when I take a rest on a Saturday afternoon or a Sunday, I start looking back and I start thinking, and gosh, I start second guessing myself. And that's when I just start working again. Roosevelt's got Teddy Roosevelt has, I've been reading this book about him and watching this movie about him. And he's got so many quotes about that, about just stay busy all the time. And you won't have doubt creep in. You won't have any form of sadness, depression. He got out of it just by working constantly. Sure. So for me, I like keeping 4 or 5 plates going at the same time. So if I start feeling one way about the other, I just kind of go over and start working on another one.
It's not the naysayer that counts. Basically, it's the man with dust on his face.
Sure.
Dare greatly.
Yeah.
Don't listen to what the people that aren't doing it are saying. Mm-hmm. Stay in your lane, master it. Yeah, I read that all the time and try to stay focused when I start the shame spiral.
Sure.
When I start to get that little fear about
Sure.
whatever it is new that we're trying to do.
And the bigger it gets, the more people are looking at you, and you know that the more people are looking at you. So I think at times, and from my career as an artist, I need to work. I work with my artist about this. About who cares, man?
Yeah, it's not the critic that
Who
counts.
cares? When we listen to it, do we love it?
Yeah.
Then it's a success. Put it out.
Well, yeah, I would say you definitely have to live by that to take Sam's first mixtape and do it, because it was certainly left the center of what mainstream country was.
Sure.
And there was no question when you heard it that every person went, fuck.
Yeah, I mean, it connected.
That's
We
good.
listened to it. When I first started working with him and he gave me the mixtape,
Yeah.
if I was cooking out and drinking beer, that's what was on. And so that's kind of one of my temperature gauges for artists that I work with. I've been very fortunate the past year, and a lot of artists have talked to me about coming on our team at Homestead Red Light or me working with them. And my big thing is, if I can't listen to you while I'm hanging out and doing my things with my friends, then I don't know what to do with you.
Sure.
There's been some great stuff that's come along that I probably could have made some decent money off of very easily. But if I can't listen to it, then I can't sell it.
Now, you touched earlier about maybe it came from your parents, and then Matt O'Brien, other few people that have helped push you to the next level or helped point you in a direction. Who are some of the other mentors that you've had along your life, either now or people in the past, that's really impacted you?
Well, gosh, I think the most recent is Corn Capshaw, the owner of Red Light Management and a part of North America, it seems like. But he's been such a friend and a mentor, and he's been my professor, that we can sit and talk. And not only does he teach me about numbers and business and legalities and budgets, but he also teaches me about people and about leadership and the big picture. So he's been a great asset and a friend lately. But if you ask me about like lifelong mentors, I mean, Henry Rollins is an enormous one of, beyond the music that he played, which I think was good, and I dig it, but I don't listen to it a lot. But he had such an effect on me in the way that he hit the ground running. I hope at times if you know about Rollins that you could see what I do and go, oh, that makes sense. Because to me it is that. It's just get in there and do it every single day because you have to and you want to. He's just been, that whole movement, Ian Mackay and Fugazi and the East Coast punk movement just had such an impression on me growing up just south of that scene, that it was punk, but it wasn't just F you, I'm going to burn my life down and do this kind of thing. It was an educated punk. It was a motivated punk in the hardcore scene of the East Coast in the late 80s, early 90s. And to me, that just changed my life when that clicked on. And it's always been a place I can go back to and reconnect with, even as those guys get older. I don't know. I always have to dip back into that lifestyle and why they were doing what they did and why they keep doing what they're doing.
That's awesome, man. I listen to a lot of, all genres. I grew up just a music head in general, digging through my folks' albums, and if you had actually gone through the CD case, it would have been the same. It would have been all over from punk to 50s and 60s, a little bit of all of it, which I think is why I still carry such an open ear into the business now. I live in Nashville, but it's not all country. It's, is it dope? Mm-hmm. Is it good? And I love the fact that you've embraced that, breaking down a genre barrier. Yeah. But other people have placed on it. You're in Nashville, here's your Spurs, here's your cowboy hat, get to work. Sure. That doesn't exist anymore, thank God. And from people like you and artists like Sam, they're going to be able to help push that further.
It has. It's so funny, though, because it's so unintentional.
Sure.
It's just something we don't talk about and we don't really think about that much. That word genre or, now we don't use the word album anymore. I mean, these are all just natural progressions in our head of, that's like, to us, using the word album or genre is like using the word blacksmith or, No,
I found it incredibly interesting. I went to Sam's wiki page to find out if he had been placed into a home, into a category, and it does not. It says American recording artist. Sure. And I was like, that's perfect. Yeah. Yeah, that was great. So if it wasn't creative, if it wasn't music, if you hadn't ended up this or something catastrophic would have shoved you in another direction, what do you think it would have been?
Probably teaching.
You think?
Yeah, that's kind of my exit plan.
Yeah.
I want to do this for about another 10 years, maybe 12.
Yeah.
And then once my kid's out of college and happy and gone, I want to teach at Belmont.
That's awesome, man.
You know.
Has it always been that communication in you, that motivation in you?
Yes, I mean, I
pour
looked
into
at being a
others?
teacher, and I love talking, I love connecting with people, and I think that I've got about 10 years left in me where the talking and connecting involves money.
Sure.
And involves power and all the weird stuff that comes along with running a business and success. And I'm attracted to going to a place that is purely connecting in knowledge and curiosity and giving and receiving. Like
That's awesome, man.
yeah.
Dear friend of mine, he's been at BMI for years, director of like college radio, things like that. And you know, if I have music questions about obscure bands, like
He's
this
your guy.
is my dude. And he goes, man, there's just it's something. I'm being pulled to this. And he went to go test out teaching. As soon as he told me he was going to do it, it was instantaneous. Like, you're going to be a duck to water. And he called me after the first semester. He's like, this is it.
Yep.
I found my thing.
Oh, I'd love
Yeah.
to drive. We're building that. My wife and I are building a house out in Forest Hills, and I just see myself driving into Belmont, little patches on my shoulders, and coffee 3 or 4 days a week, and sitting there and talking to these kids about the music business, and more importantly about, like, I remember Matt O'Brien told me once, and this would have been in college in '99 or so, '98, and he said, you know, the people in this room that are going to have massive success are probably going to be succeeding at jobs that aren't invented right now. And my first big break in the business was a videographer, photographer, brand coordinator for Keith Urban, which in '98, '99, country stars just didn't have little media labs following them 24 hours a day, documenting their lives. So that kind of rang true there, and that's what I want to do, is just talk to kids about going out and figuring out what they want to do, really want to do with the rest of their lives.
That's impactful, and they need it. I know when I was coming out, it seemed like an impossibility to enter the business. It didn't seem like a reality.
Sure.
And having impactful mentors, professors to help close that bridge a little is going to change some lives, I think.
My first job out of college I went and tried to get was at BMI for like nothing, like 21 grand a year. And you have to wear a tie every day and a button down and everything, and I was ready to do it, and I didn't get the job. And I'm so thankful I didn't.
Is that how you ended up at APA?
Yeah, I did. That Matt O'Brien, somebody turned me on to Steve Lassard, who was an MTSU grad. He
Yeah.
interviewed me and hired me and taught me a whole lot. And then, you know, after 4 years, taught me that I didn't want to sit on the phone booking bands the rest of my life.
I
So
understand that, brother. Now, everybody I've talked to, they all have a different, obviously music's at the core of it, that drives the passion to do all these other things. What do you think your favorite part of the business is? Is it the grind? Is it the music, the artist? Is it
the live shows, probably.
the live?
I think for me, it's such a way to see it all impact. I think the numbers on reports that we see every day or every week are one thing, and the industry and how they, you know, a lot of people in this town can take their work or their artists that they're working on or their records that they're working on, and they can really shine it up and make it look a lot of different ways for each other in this very small little town that we have. But when you go to the amphitheater outside of Indianapolis on a Friday night and get a beer and go up in that grass, you can damn well tell how big your act is or how, you know, how connected they are to that fan
Absolutely.
base. And going out there, I mean, every show I go to, every single Sam show I go to, I end up the majority of the show out in the lawn with a couple beers in my pockets, just hanging with the kids and drinking.
Yeah.
Because in the end, I want to every day move this town out of the way, move all the noise out of the way, and all the ideas or the negativity or the positivity or anything, and really say, what does that audience member think, and what is that kid doing?
Sure.
Because they don't care about the majority of the stuff we talk about. 99% of it, they don't
Absolutely.
care about it. They care about that girl that they want to ask out, or they care about what college they're going to. And you know, that's all we're doing. We're just giving them music to better their lives, to make them excited, to make them sad, to make them feel better. And that live show, man, that's everything.
It is. I remember the first time I saw an entire stage turn red on a downbeat. Whew, I just remember clear as day.
Yeah.
Changed my opinion of live, and then I always wanted to see live music after that.
Yep.
That's cool you do that, man.
Bradley, he's Cuzzo.